Can everybody see the slides now?
Yeah. Looking good.
Okay, I completely changed the title of this talk while writing it. So now it's called Just Keep Swimming, The Ascent of a Software Artist. Still has much the same content, but in a slightly different order. Hello, I'm Pius. You know me, you love me. Most of you know me. Others, well, I vow thee, ye knaves. But for those of you who don't, burnt out software dude, decided to become a Catholic minister because the world needs more queer Catholic ministers. Severely disabled as well. Official IQ is 80. Proves IQ tests are bunk. Cerebral palsy, vision issues, autism, bipolar, whatever else I'm forgetting. Degrees in comp sci and history, sort of. Newly commissioned lay minister serving the Syracuse, New York region. As for what I've done on town, my proudest accomplishment is I'm the inventor of the hour/fruit command, which no one uses enough. A guy who got rec utils working again, and I've done other stuff.
Now we have a fruit explosion.
We've spanned the shit out of Maine with our fruit, so thank you for reminding us.
So you were promised code and a story. But I want to play with my new prayer manual. The infamous Prayers for a Planetary Pilgrim, Edward Hayes, 1989. Don't call it a book of shadows. It's totes a Catholic prayer book. And one of the prayers for tonight, when Saturday evening, autumn, you can read it yourself, 7 holy flames, Dan, etc., etc., etc. Contemplate that for a second. I celebrate this night. Each day has been holy as the Sabbath, as this Sabbath, on this day that remembers the creation of this planet. I rejoice that in an awakening ecstasy, you made human creatures to be your lovers, one with all the earth, the sun, moon, and all those who love thee. I enter this prayer of silence. Like I said, legitimately a Catholic prayer book, right? And it was actually approved back in 1989 as an official Catholic book. I don't think they would do that again. But let's try something else. I own the official key of interpretation of the Clow cards as tarot cards. And this, I put it up as a rec file on my Git. So there's that. This morning I drew the voice, which is all about communication and finding yourself. And if drawn in reverse, it can mean it can mean you're about to lose communication. So I interpret this as a very good omen right now. All right, so blessings are done. We've done the blessings. So now story time. Long ago, there was a disabled child who wanted 3 things in life. From an early age, to live in his own place, to make music, to be an artist, to serve, fear God, which is both a pronoun and fear meaning in its more ancient sense of respect. But his parents and teachers and other adults often had no idea how to help them achieve this. He was excluded from art supplies unsupervised after one too many accidents. Music, less said, the better. I broke a violin once. And as for serving God, how is one is supposed to do that with my level of disability? And the one thing that became very clear, the one thing that they were encouraged to do was use, never play with the computers around him, which led to the realization the computer can do it all, bitches. So the child proceeded to learn as much about computers as he could and grew strong in the arts until one day a problem came to vex him, the dreaded end of life of Windows 98 in May of 2006. Very traumatizing time. There was this thing called Linux, but there was no provision for the child's vision problems, etc. And here we have a recreation of 2006 era Linux on
That seems right.
I love Doom 3.
on modern. This is all modern hardware. I did this on an i7 the other night, and it felt like 2007 giving me a hug because it's just as fast. And Matrix OS, look it up, folks. All right, time for code. The story picks up in code. So that has the PDF of all the code, which I decided was the best way to illustrate this. And our thing is really growing here. I don't think the decay will get it. Anyway.
Is this
More
Love
on-
2D?
That's Love 2D recreating an oscilloscope.
Nice.
So let's go with Atril. I was going to do this in an editor, but that turned out not to work. Slash bsspdf.pdf. And it, of course, shows up on the wrong monitor initially. Let me fix that. Let me flip over to that page. Via very simple speech services code selections. And here you have one of my kith and kin that I took a picture of this morning. So on the surface, my screen reader is very simple. It can be reduced to this one shell function, which gets loaded into my shell every time the computer starts. So this speech backend, all that's important for here is this here, this line. Maybe these three, or maybe these 4 lines. So, first, it cats $1, which is the first parameter to the function, which is which is always in this context a reference to the clipboard, which is done through a dbus service. We'll talk about dbus services and how they're used here later. And then $1 is catted through preproc.py, and then through Cutlet, and then through emoji filter, and then out to $1.new. $1.new is then catted back into $1, and then the audio backend runs, and we're off. And the PCG is called Print Color Graphics, which makes the screen reader put out pretty purple images while it's doing its thing. I'll show that off later. This is the only thing that remains from the original 2006 era code, because I wrote it initially in shell script. And I've been meaning to replace this with JavaScript, but it never seems to get done. So there's big, complicated 100-line shell script that you may not understand, but it is just basically the front end that allows me to communicate with the screen reader. So can everybody see the purple and yellow graphics?
Yes.
Yep.
So this is just the front door. What's behind the scenes is even more amazing. And why did it? So dbus services are a key part of this. And I didn't choose to include the clipboard handler in this one, because in this commemorative PDF, because it's just too long and complicated. It saves everything that ever passes through the screen reader into a SQLite database, which is fully text searchable. It's very cool tech. It has a web interface that runs on localhost. But for this, so you get the idea, I've included the dbus service club.breadpunk.nonally, which is a reference to my other favorite anime, Code Geass. Now, Nonally is a blind teenager in a wheelchair who just wishes the world were a better place. So she really vibes with my aesthetic, and so club.breadpunk.nonally. And what club.breadpunk.nonally does is whenever there's an image in the clipboard, it tries to OCR it. But I have like 3 or 4 of these dbus services all cooperating together. Oh, and I should mention that that thing called Cutlet is a program I found that, together with a McKeeb dictionary, will phoneticize Japanese characters into an English approximation, so I can actually study Japanese now. And I added that feature specifically because the town was doing Japanese study and I wanted to join in, or whatever that was. I actually ran around the internet for an entire 3 hours wondering if my code was broken because it kept shouting Tapu Banana at me. And I finally find out that no, my code is doing what it's supposed to do. And I wish I'd saved that example for this talk. So this is perhaps my favorite part of the whole operation. And if you just read this comment, I don't know what I was on when I wrote it. But it's called emoji filter, but it's never the purpose of the program. It was always just the name of the file. It does all the detecting, inspecting, selecting, and rejecting on a piece of text from the clipboard before that text is passed to the speech backend. Now, I've been trying to avoid writing this program for literal years, and you get the Arlo Guthrie vibe. Or do I have to pull up Alice's restaurant for you?
Kill.
We can pull Alice's restaurant after the talk.
Gladly.
So it does a bunch of things with telling me how many words the words I'm about to read and how much time it's about to take. That really helps me decide whether I want to actually read what I'm about to read, which, and it collects URLs at the end of the document and does a bunch of other stuff. And pre-proc is similar. It does a bunch of Unicode normalization, so I can read French or German characters as close approximations of how they would be accented. So this screen reader is all about, has just grown organically with my needs. And going back to the story in the beginning, when I began to become enamored with the computer, as computers can do it all, bitches, people would accuse me of having limited interests or being technology addicted or just any number of other things. So, but it wasn't until I discovered doing technology in community, and especially after I rediscovered it during COVID, hello Tilda.town, that things began to take off, because for a while it really was just a fucking shell script. But now I can read Japanese, and it's all and the only reason I can read Japanese is because I thought of adding that feature because of town.
Because
So, so going back to our slides just for a second here. So the moral of the story for our lives, I've structured this like a sermon of sorts. So if you can't tell, with all the prayers and the tarot readings and the so what's the moral lesson? What we do matters. We may just all be misunderstood artists on a Unix server, but you never know what you might inspire in another. Therefore, be excellent to each other. Always, this liturgy is ended. Go now to love and serve the truth by your life, by thine life. So mote it be. End of talk.